Hello and welcome to the crossover episode between On the Talks and DP to the Brain. I am Dugan Paxton, the DP going to your brain. And with me today, very excited, is, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm the host of On the Talks. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, this is very exciting. Exciting opportunity. I'm seeing a decent amount of people start getting into the podcast space. I've got a really exciting crossover episode with SWATs, the Simple Soccer Podcast, hopefully coming up soon. But I am very excited to get in early and have a crossover with one of the already rising stars in the podcast spaces.
Oh, I don't know if I would say that. It's a slow burner, I would say. I have 140 views, so we're
Oh,
getting
that's not
somewhere.
bad. Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, not too bad. I had a episode with Swats too, and he's awesome to talk to. That'll be a fun episode for you.
For sure, yes. Very exciting. And
hmm
it's kind of scratching an itch because back when, for those of you listening who don't know, Maddie and I both attended Teal College up in Greenville, Pennsylvania. And then in my later years, and then actually for like the year or so when I still lived in the area as an alumni, I did shows for the radio station, 88.1 FM WXTC. I had to
Yes,
think
I had to
bigger.
say that in my tours
I did
for
think of
tour
it, but
tours.
you were always one of those tour people I saw.
Yep.
So it's kind of like scratching that itch that I haven't had in a hot second. But and I'm sure you can empathize with this. Talking to yourself is kind of hard.
Yeah, my first episode I recorded by myself and it was horrendous. Um it's so hard because you're like, well, I have nobody to bounce off of. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just me and my thoughts and honestly, it's not that interesting. I like hearing people and I like talking to people. And the way I kind of set up my podcast was that I live far away from all my friends and I want some reason to talk to them. So I'm like, hey, just jump on my podcast. And it's fun because it's like a 30-minute conversation with my friends every week and it's somebody different every week. And it's really fun to do that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, a little spoiler coming up. Hopefully this Sunday. I don't know about scheduling exactly. Uh, I'm looking to get my first international guest on DP to the Brain. We'll be talking to Mr. Pimp Lim, the music producer.
Oh my goodness.
So that's exciting, which once again, all those backlogged episodes will be coming out on April 2nd when the channel launches. But yeah, totally with what you were saying, with just keeping connected, which I'm terrible keeping connected with people, and I'm, trying to be better about that. Um,
hmm
and especially in 2020, I was just saying this to someone. 2020, if we're one of the few things that came out of it is we learned that we can still connect with people even if we don't see them see them in real life. We can still connect. And uh, I wasn't able to attend, but my fraternity they've been doing like every other month or so. They'll just have like a Zoom meeting for all the alumni to just kind of
Yeah.
kick it and just catch up and all that jazz. So yeah, I miss all my people as well. I've been scheduling up a lot of different people, and anyone out there listening, if you want to be on, hit the DMs.
There you go. Yeah,
So
no, I completely understand that. It's just like this year especially made me realize that, hey, I can reach out to these people because I'm terrible at reaching out too. I mean, like I have my little circle, but I need to reach out more and I like all my friends from college, I absolutely all adore them. And I never get to talk to them because I don't know, just life happens and this is a good way to talk to people, you know?
mhm. Well, and I think one of the main what I like to think of as one of the main cruxes of my show is that quote unquote normal average people, us normal people, if you will, are vastly interesting, especially if you ask the right questions. Um, like I said, I'm going to have some independent music producers on.
Oh,
Um, I'm actually having one of Dr. Bradshaw. I don't know if you ever had Dr. Bradshaw.
I did not.
He's a doctor in computer science, and he also has worked with
Oh.
government before. So I'm going to talk to him about why the U.S. government is 30 years behind everyone else in technology.
Oh, that'll be really interesting.
So, I mean, and that's what I think. There's so many interesting people out there who are, I think, podcast worthy and, you know, wouldn't necessarily be in a podcast. So,
Exact. Yeah.
so
No,
I think that's
that's for sure. It's nice to I feel like a lot of the podcasts I'm gravitating towards is just random stuff recently because humans are so interesting in their own ways, and it's just really cool to learn a little snippet of somebody's life through stories or like some fun. I don't know. I do I do a lot of trivia on my podcast,
yeah,
and it's just a fun little icebreaker, and then all of a sudden you jump into this story time and you learn so much about the person.
yeah,
I it's just fun times. I don't know. I feel like podcasts are a new way to learn about people and talk to people.
yeah. Well, and since we're kind of heading, you know, as we become more and more online as a culture, if you will, um, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who do kind of want to be heard. And I don't, I think everyone should feel heard in some regard. So if they're not feeling heard in, maybe their own personal life, um, they can start a podcast or a YouTube
Mhm.
channel or, whatever it is. And then if people feel like they have something interesting to say, then, they can be heard without, I don't know, just, I think that's a really exciting and wonderful thing. Really
Oh, for
unearthing
sure.
unearthing how interesting we all really are underneath.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like that's how like YouTube in the olden days, like I feel like that's what a lot of like the older YouTubers, that's what they wanted. They just were like, "Hey, like I want to be creative and I want to be heard." And that's how they started their careers that way. And
Yeah,
it's just really cool.
I mean, most like YouTubers, they'll say like, when I started YouTube, I didn't, it wasn't a job back then. Now people
Mm-mm.
start and they're looking to make money, and depending, I don't think it's inherently bad. People looking to make money as creatives, I think actually we'd have a much better world if more people found their employment through creativity,
Oh,
which
yeah.
um, but at the same time, then we have a lot of, I don't know, people can argue that we're chasing algorithms and then you just kind of end up chasing your own tail where you do what's popular and what is popular is what everyone's doing. So it just kind of ends up in a circle and you're not really making. I like the people who are trying to make new things, really make art, because it is art. YouTube videos are art. There are
Mm-hmm.
some absolutely beautiful channels out there, but unfortunately there's just a lot of, and I'm not even gonna, I can't even say there's anything wrong with having a bad, if you don't quite have the talent, you should still be able to express yourself.
Oops,
Just
sorry.
maybe
That's my
those people just shouldn't expect to get paid well for it. And that's all
exactly.
that's all I say. I mean, everyone should do it as a hobby. The really
Hmm.
good ones should get paid and the bad ones should not expect to get paid. So that's it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think we're better off as a society if with people just putting their creativity out there.
I think we're so money focused that I mean, I found myself doing this too because I was so worried about using my time to make money that I was like, well, I need to do all this overtime. I don't need hobbies. I don't need to do this. And I think that's why people want to make money so bad is because they think they're wasting their time just doing something that they like for fun, you know? Because I was thinking, oh, maybe I should get a side gig or something. And I'm like, you know what? I need to find something passionate that I'm passionate about because, I mean, we both played soccer. We were both passionate about soccer.
Absolutely.
And I've actually been struggling finding a new hobby. And I stumbled across this and I'm like, well, I could do DoorDash. I could do different things in this time that I'm using to be creative and do fun things. But I feel like the mind needs to do stuff like this to function in your daily life. I found that I'm a little bit happier now that I have started this. It's not only helping me in a social aspect, but it's helping me in that creative aspect too, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, and something I always kind of recall back to is, back when I was probably like freshman, sophomore in college, whenever I would go home for the summer to work, I would just work like a dog, 60 hours a week, extra shift, yes, sir, whatever it is. But then it would get to the point where like my dreams would be about work. Like I would be having nightmares about having
Yes.
really bad days at work. And I'm like, at that point, you need variety in your mind. I mean, variety is important in almost all aspects of things, but definitely need variety in your mind. You don't want your mind completely not paying attention to what you're doing, of course, but it's the yin and the yang. So the work,
Yes,
you got to have a
balance.
little bit of imagination in the work and a little bit of work in your imagination.
Exactly. No, that's a really good way to put it because I feel like that's like coming out of college, I am definitely struggling with that aspect of my life. I was so focused on paying off my student loans that I decided that, oh, you can put this off until you pay your loans. And now that I'm done with that, I'm struggling to have fun. I'm struggling to do fun things because I'm like, oh, I need to save money. When I mean, it's always good to save money, don't get me wrong, but you need that balance in your life to um
Yeah. No,
just be happy and function as a normal human, you know?
well, and then of course, we our generation here kind of, as you said, you get out of college, and like you said, for a lot of people that's the end of
Um,
college athletics, or the transition from college to quote unquote real life kind of hits already. And then as we are going out there trying to find our forms of meaning, we are shut into our houses and quarantined for a pandemic. So that has made things, I think almost anyone would agree, those of us trying to find a little extra meaning in our lives, coronavirus has not been a boon to that.
No, it's messed with a lot of people. And but at the same time, it also opens up a lot of people's eyes to, hey, since I'm working from home, I need to find certain things that make me happy. Like they're literally confined in one spot. So then they were forced to find that like new hobbies, like all the flour and stuff. Like people started picking up baking and the
Mm-hmm.
flour. We had a shortage of flour and yeast
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, you have to have a balance. Absolutely.
I mean, and I think this is all good thing. I mean, people expressing themselves is always, you know, is always good. And you know, I'm glad, I think we both kind of latched onto this lesson a little early. It's just it's unfortunate to see people, especially because it is very easy to get swept up into life. You go from college to graduating to a job to a girlfriend or boyfriend to married to a kid to this to that. You kind of bounce from points in your life to life, and you kind of lose track of what's going on outside of it. So,
Exactly.
but it's kind of like it's like part of a foundation you have to set for yourself. Similar, I think, to exercising and eating healthy, because it's very
Mhm.
it's very easy to get caught up once again in life, and just it's hard. You got to cook and you got to shop harder, and especially for single bromigos like myself, buying produce for one is basically impossible. You're
It
almost guaranteed to be throwing food away.
Well,
It's
and then
so
on
hard.
top of that, it's money too is a lot of people's like it's hard to be healthy because
Mhm.
it's expensive to be healthy. And I feel like I keep bringing up money, but it's a lot of people's motivation to do or to not do something. They're like, "Oh, I can't do this because I don't have the money to." Or they just put it off because it's too expensive. Like they don't want to do things. And that's a lot that's like a main thing, like people don't buy healthy food so then they can't be fit like they want to be, and it's oh, it's
And
bad.
at that, yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, these are the and there's other things that account to what I would say are foundations of the life you want to live. You know, you can't expect to just get to the end of life and have life kind of just follow your plan. You know, you gotta build it like a building. You start with strong, stable foundations, and then you just build up from there. You know, if you don't have the solid foundations, then everything else is on shaky ground. So, yeah. So I'm
If the
that's
bones aren't good, the house don't matter.
exactly. So that's what I'm really trying to develop the foundations of who I want to be 5 years, 10 years, you know. And of course well, actually we can talk about that later, but as I get older, I'm sure I will change in some ways and my plans
Exactly.
will of course alter very whatever, but foundation should always be solid.
You have to be Dugan in times where it's hard to be Dugan, you know?
Oh, well, if I
Yes.
wasn't Dugan, uh, that makes life would be
You
pointless if I weren't. If I
exactly.
wasn't myself, then I wouldn't be living. Oh gosh, I hate having quotes without being able to attribute them, but you know, Google it if you want to. Um, Imitation is suicide.
Hey,
So,
that's honestly that's a great quote because I I'm just gonna do an Instagram rant for a second here. You know how all those girls on Instagram, like they make a picture perfect life, they go on vacations all the time, very skinny bodies and everything. And so that's what girls and young girls want is to be in this person. And honestly, that person isn't even that person because it they're like I don't know. The internet is fake, and it's sorry. That was just my little Instagram rant, but that quote just brought up a lot of triggering things.
no, well, I think you're right, but I think that's more of a symptom or part of the problem than the, I think if you look at just advertising, we're a very advertiser centric culture. Our culture is centered around advertisers because, movie entertainment is centered around advertisers. The internet is centered around advertisers. So, and you could argue that's what advertisements have been doing since their inception is creating
You,
fake, better non-real people. Hey, buy this product and you'll be this. So I think
no,
that's
yeah.
that's a natural progression. Is it getting worse? Yeah, probably exponentially, but yeah, we have a
Okay.
very advertiser centric culture, in my opinion.
So you're saying Instagram models and stuff like that are kind of like, you know how the McDonald's commercials, they always have that really nice looking burger, and then you
Yeah,
go to the restaurant and you're like, wait, this isn't what was on the advertisement. It looks like crap, you know? So is that kind of what you're getting at? Is that it kind of
that
has
is an
spawned from that?
extremely accurate metaphor. That metaphor is extremely apt because, yeah, though there you could argue that the women are being treated like pieces of meat as for
Oh, jeez.
advertisers, and then
Yeah.
they Photoshop it and put all this ridiculous lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar. I think that's an almost perfect description there. Yeah. Someone send me a picture of them getting a photogenic Big Mac, and I'll send you like, I don't know, I'll send you like 0.001 of a Bitcoin or something. If someone
Point
can
zero
click,
zero one of a Bitcoin.
that's like actually a couple
I'm
hundred
gonna
dollars
go
probably.
after this and get you a burger that looks like that.
You will not. You will. You can make a house full of empty boxes. You can like go Donald Trump buffet style, and you will never find a perfect burger like that.
No, no, you're probably right.
One other way that I've tried to stay connected with people and also kind of tried to develop myself is I on Facebook with some people, just random Facebook friends. I started a virtual book club, which I'm always trying to get myself to read more. I don't know. I always have a hard time getting myself to read. I always want to, but then I never want to like sit down and actually do it. So, use other people to peer pressure me into being accountable. And so right now we're actually reading this interesting. It's flipped here. It's called Nothing to See Here. It's by Kevin
Oh.
Wilson. It's kind of, I'm only a couple chapters in, but it is about a woman who goes to live with her old friend and her new husband, who is like a senator or something like that, like some big important person in the South. But the thing is, he's got two kids that anytime they're upset, and they're like 4 and 7, I think. Anytime they get upset, they catch on fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's intense.
Yeah. So I'm a couple chapters in it. Yeah, it's certainly intense. But it's kind of interesting as well.
Catch
So,
on
but
fire.
that's just, I don't know. That's just another way
Oh.
that I've been, reaching out to, I don't know, A, connect with other people, and B, improve myself at the same time, which is what we were talking about. Just,
Yeah, because
less expressing creativity and more appreciating
knowledge.
it, I guess.
Yeah.
Appreciating creativity.
Books are so great because I don't know, you can there's just so many different types of books. Like there's books where you like I literally have a money book on how to save money and do things with money and the psychology of money. So that's like complete utter knowledge in that book. And then you have books that are like about somebody's life because I have this one book I don't remember the name of it, but she was a Korean defector and or not a North Korean defector.
Mm-hmm.
So she left North Korea and she told her whole story, and it was just very interesting. So then you get to see pieces of people's lives. And then on the other hand, you can have books that are complete fantasy, like Harry Potter, and
Yeah,
that's
like
just beautiful.
novels.
Yes. And it's just so many different types of books and so many different creative outlets for people. I think it's just
Yeah.
great.
How do you feel about book to movie adaptations?
I have mixed feelings. I like the fact that you can project what the art like the author was doing and like had in his head onto a screen for people to see, but I don't like when they change things. Like I'm trying to get a good example of a book that I read.
I've heard. No, I've never read Harry Potter. I've seen the movies. I've heard that
Mm-hmm.
the third one was particularly inaccurate from the book or something. I'm not.
I
That's just what
I
I've heard.
didn't read the Harry Potter books either, but that's I've heard that as well. I did you read The Hunger Games?
No.
No. I would say The Hunger Games, they did a pretty good job of um pretty much playing how it went in the book.
Yeah. No, but those
There's
books weren't like super long, were they?
no, they not too long. No.
I think that's the problem. Once your book gets to a certain length, you there's only so much you can fit into a movie. Once you hit
Mm-hmm.
2 hours, you better have something worth saying. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that especially, I mean, I don't Stephen King's It, the two-parter that was a mega smash hit the last couple of years. I mean, that book is like that big. So even in like 4 hours of screen time, they left out so much stuff, which, when you're adapting, that's going to happen. But I
Mm-hmm.
also, what you were saying, especially when it comes to descriptive, there's nothing more boring to me than reading a bunch of description of just like what thing, sitting here reading a book. Maddie had a white lamp with a gray picture frame and a little
Oh
horsey
wait.
and a blue denim, like, but with video.
No,
Boom,
no,
I
you're
see it
right.
one
That does
second.
get it gets annoying, but at the same time, it's so crucial for that imagery to pop up for the reader in their mind. But if it's on a screen, you don't have to worry about it. Oh, I can see that,
I always
It's
I like
completely
to make the joke argument that uh filmmakers just have better imagination than you and I, so we should see it through their imagination, not ours.
Hey, I kind of agree with that though. Because
But then
I'm
you
definitely
come
not talented enough to make a movie.
some books, depending on what they're talking about, and I specifically brought up the Stephen King example, is sometimes there's stuff that is describable in books, especially, kind of concepts outside of, I don't know, traditional reality, if you will. I know that's kind of extremely vague.
Okay.
But things that are difficult to show visually are obviously very difficult to show in movies. Now, and a lot of that has been worked out with, the increase in like technology and CGI and all that stuff. Like we're seeing things in movies today that people would have never imagined. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, like well, did you watch the Star Wars movies?
yes, I have
Yes.
seen all the Star Wars movies.
Well, even just the graphics in that time frame from when they first came out with the first couple of Star Wars to now, like it's just completely different. And can you hear my dog?
A little bit, but it's okay.
Okay. Would you rather have him doing that than humping me?
Well, I think that's a you question. I think I'll let your opinion be precedent on that one.
Oh my gosh, he's getting his nutties cut off April 22nd, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm telling my roommate, I'm like, how can I convey to the kitten in kittenese, if you misbehave, I will literally hire someone to remove your testicles so you better behave. Is there some way to translate that? And he will get right with the program.
I tell Waylon that you're getting your nutties cut off if you're bad, but he's still getting his nutties cut off no matter what because it's bad.
He must want it. He hit agree on the terms of service.
Fun fact, I don't watch scary movies because they mess with my dreams so bad.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm ridiculous. Like I have so many even just commercials, like if I'm on YouTube like watching like a show on YouTube and then it cuts to this scary commercial, I literally have a dream about the commercial. It's so bad. I don't know. I think it's just triggering from my childhood. It's
all right, here, you want a story time? I'll give you a story time. When was this? I must have been in I'm pretty sure it was in first grade. My elementary school had a pretty cool library, if I remember. And I was all about those Berenstain Bear books. I was all about
I had those.
But there was, gosh, see, I can barely even remember what the book was about. There was something about like there was like a Green Shadow version of them or something like that. I don't know, something like that, but it just absolutely terrified me. I was like, the Green Berenstain Bear is gonna get me. I don't, at that age, you don't even know what you're afraid of. You're like, it's gonna get me. And then like, if you're an adult, you're like, okay, then what?
The Green Berenstain Bear is gonna get you.
As an adult, you're like, there has to be something else other than getting,
Yeah.
like a murder or something. Or
yeah, it's gotta shoot you.
It's not like a game of tag where they're just like, gotcha.
God. No, but that's how, like, I think as a kid, you don't know so much that you're almost scared of the unknown. I know that's kind of deep, but like I kind of felt like that is like I would be scared to do or see something because you don't know what's coming. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's just like a deeper thing.
That's biological. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm
like
pretty sure you can
instinct.
find that in almost any animal. So that's just kind of a natural instinct to, I don't know, which it makes sense, There's, you stick with what you know, but I don't know. It's actually kind of funny you mention it because I was at the bowling alley celebrating the belated birthday of a friend, and one of our friends has a 19-month-old, I think, and she was just, and it was like earlier during the day because the kids are younger, so it was pretty empty, and the baby was just like exploring away, just like, oh, what's going on over here? What's going on? It's exploring, but then it's just kind of like, no, stop.
Yes. Yeah. I worked at a daycare all throughout school, so I completely, kids are so, it's hard to describe that. What, biological or logical? No, you're right. they tell it how it is. If there, I mean, there's a certain age gap. Well, first off, there's an age gap where they can't talk, and then there's a second age gap where they just say it how it is. They don't care how you feel. They're like, oh, you've gained weight. I walked in one day. I had my hair up like in a bun. And this one boy came up to me. He's like, "Why do you look like a boy today?" And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Like they just tell it how it is because they don't understand, and it's what they're seeing, you know. And babies.
This is kind of random, but another fun story. Maybe year and a half, well, before COVID, so at least a year and a half ago, I was at oh gosh, what's that mall? Ross Park Mall up in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
I was at the Foot Locker, so yeah, I'm putting you on blast, Foot Locker. And I was looking at some shoes, and I saw some nice ones, and I approached the associate, and I was like, "Excuse me, do you have this in size 7?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "Do you have it in size 7.5?" And she just goes, "Excuse me, so this is the men's section."
Oh no!
I'm just like, okay, I just got dunked on by the Foot Locker lady. I'm just gonna leave now.
Oh my god!
I'm just like, wow.
Hey, okay, Foot Locker deserved to be on blast for that. That's
oh man, I got horrible. I got dunked on pretty hard, to be fair. I got to give her credit for going for it. I was just like, all right, you got, all right, I'll see you later.
Aw,
yeah,
that's horrible.
That's hilarious. He's okay. He's okay. So I have this. Hold on, let me pull this up here. I have this long list. I like to have my guests pick one question from this list. And the last person I had on picked number 7, so you can't pick number 7.
How far do the numbers go?
Well, hold on. It's 1 through 48, but you can't pick 7.
So don't pick 7. Let's pick 32.
32. All right, hold on. Let's 32. Oh, okay. This is only a 2-word question.
Oh.
Death penalty question mark?
Oh dear God, that's so deep. Oh, you're putting me on. You're putting me on the spot.
Oh. You can pick another one if you want.
No, I got this.
All right.
I hope people don't hate me. Well, that's the other thing. I don't like when people don't let you have other opinions. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I could not agree with you more. That's what I mean. I'm gonna have, I don't exactly have the pull to get some probably more influential people, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I want to have all kinds of talks of stuff all over the idea spectrum.
Yes.
I mean, the smaller you make that window, the less, you make it small enough, then you just end up in what we were saying before, where you're just chasing your own tail.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm not going to judge you.
I'll tell you how I feel.
Please do.
I'm very in the middle on a lot of topics in this country.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them. And this one, I am especially. Because honestly, if you kill somebody, then I do get the eye for an eye. Like, you killed that person. They don't have a life. Why do you deserve one? Mm-hmm. But then, at the same time, some people do change. Sometimes situations change people. And so I get that aspect too. And then I also saw how many people are wrongly accused in this country, and that bothers me as well too. So I feel like I'm astrology signs. I'm the scales. I'm the, is it Libra or Libra or something?
I don't know. That's all nonsense.
So like I just see all points of view. I see why you think that way. I see why you think this way. But my inner turmoil is that I can never nail down a solid opinion on things.
I mean, and I think it's a very open-ended question, of course. So
yeah,
there's no right or wrong answer. And it's really not as, it's made out to be a very binary question, but you don't necessarily have to have a binary answer.
Yeah, and I feel like that death penalty is purely situational. Like, if it's completely obvious that this man or woman is just killing, like serial killing all these people, like who Arlene Moore knows. Have you ever heard of her?
I'm not huge in the true crime area, so
Oh,
no.
okay. Well, I can just go on a little rant about her for a
No,
second.
please do.
She was in Florida. She had a very rough life, so understandably how she ended up this way. But what she would do, she would get truck drivers off the street or like caught people down the highway. She was a prostitute, and that's how she
They
made
call
money.
those lot lizards.
Yeah,
that's the term for them.
yeah, and so she would do that, and then after she would kill them. And she did this to, like, I don't know the exact number. I think it was like 13 men. And I think it was, I don't know if it was to support herself, and then she was like, oh man, this is kind of crappy or whatever. So she would shoot them. And it would just, she then, when she was in prison, you could just see how mentally unstable this woman was.
Yeah.
And she's like, she honestly said, she's like, you have to kill, I think a quote was, this is paraphrased, you have to kill Aileen Wuornos because Aileen Wuornos will kill again. Like, she literally said that as part of her last words. Like, she's like, this is me. Like, this is, I do this to people. And like, that's the type of person that you just got to look up a picture of them. And I don't know if you have the ability to edit that in here, but holy crap.
I mean, I think Charles Manson probably fits in that same kind of category.
Yes. Yes.
Swastika on my forehead and whatever.
Yeah. Just people that are filled with pure hate, and they enjoy doing things.
They are nothing but a danger to society.
Yes. And if you don't agree with what society is, that's fine, but go and do your own thing somewhere where you're not affecting others. Like, I am perfectly, if say you want to chop down trees because you just want to, but then people are like, no, don't chop down the trees. Well, go do that in your own little section and don't hurt other people's feelings. Like, I don't know. That was just a bad example. You can cut that out.
I was about to bring up the Lorax, so.
The Lorax.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't hurt the Lorax's feelings.
My feelings on it,
the death penalty?
Yeah. Well, there's a kind of like you said, there's a couple aspects to it. One of the first ones I would put up right away is in its pun intended execution. Like the amount, I don't have the stats right here in front of me, but it costs more to put someone through the death penalty than it does to keep them in prison. It costs more money.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, and then it's a big, there's lots of appeals. So this was a story I had heard in my high school sociology class. So if it's not true, look up my teacher and call him a liar.
Okay.
There was some dude in Ohio who, he committed like a robbery, double murder, something like that. But basically, anyway, at his trial, he was like, you know what? I did it. I'm a bad person. I deserve the death penalty. Give me the death penalty. I want the death penalty. It took him 10 years to get executed because his own lawyers. Well, because his own lawyers acting against. So he had to fight his own lawyers because his lawyers are legally responsible to act in his best interest. So, and I can't even argue really against the lawyers because they're doing their job. Their job is to do their best for their client, innocent, guilty, whatever. That's, I don't want to get into a whole riff on the Constitution, but and it also
we can save that for my podcast.
And that links into what you were saying as well with false guilties and stuff like that as well. And then, break the numbers down even more. the percentage of people who get death penalty sentences, we start breaking things down racially. Certain things start becoming kind of apparent there as well.
Yeah.
And so there's that aspect to it. And people, the three arguments for prison are like revenge, kind of how you said, an eye for an eye, to rehabilitate them, and to like keep them away from everyone else. Those are like your three arguments for punishment, basically, is
Yeah.
retribution, rehabilitation, and keeping everyone else safe. Now,
Yes.
we're assuming these people have no redeemability, which I struggle. I mean, yeah, of course, there are people out there who are not redeemable, but who's to make that judgment, and how is that judgment?
You're right.
That's it's an impossible judgment to be made, but at the same time, there are some examples like the one you gave. There are examples so egregious that I don't know. But at that point, we're basing things on opinion, and laws should not be based on opinion.
Yeah.
In
Which
terms
that's kind of
of
touchy.
Yeah, in terms of the punitive aspect of it, I would make the argument, and I think a lot of people could make the argument that life in prison is a worse punishment than death.
Yeah, I'd rather die.
So there's that. That's why for the punitive, and then the third, for the sake of keeping people safe. I mean, those are maximum security escapes are not as common as movies would make you think, obviously. So in terms of, at a certain level, someone gets dangerous enough that you just, hang them. I don't know how the Joker keeps getting out, because at some point you just literally chain him up and just have someone just sitting there like, nope. Like, I don't know how he keeps. How do you keep escaping after like
He's
the
special.
fourth time? You just have someone sit there and watch him with a gun, like, don't move, don't move. Like,
And then they go to lunch or something, and then he gets out.
So I think like I said, for a couple different reasons, I'm generally, and because it's a legal thing where it has to be on the book as law, and it can't really, as much as it should be contextual, it's kind of hard to write contextuality into the law. So I would rather see us lean on the side of not having it versus having it, because it's, once you kill someone, there's no taking it back. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And then for all the other reasons I listed, I just see it as an effective form of corporal punishment. Excuse me, I see it as ineffective as relative to what we have now, and that is by no means any form of endorsement of our current criminal justice system, which we could take
It's got some holes.
We could take a whole nother podcast on that, but it would be the exact same one as the Constitution episode.
Yes. Just 1 second. Like that one, you remember us in painting class?
Oh yeah, no. I've been trying to. Speaking of creativity, I have been trying to get my hand back in painting. And I
Have
actually
you?
I did paint. Well, I painted my mom's Christmas gift. Hold on, I'll pull it up on my phone. A little crappy on the phone to the webcam, but that's fine. But yeah, I've been trying to, another way to just, even if, painting's not necessarily my favorite, but it's definitely just, I don't know, it's very meditative. I don't know if you ever, I don't know if, even back then I remember it was always very just like meditate. I would even go up there sometimes on like weekends and stuff, just like, whatever. And just kind of, because we were over kind of in like the pottery area, like away from everyone else. So we kind of had our own like little studio areas, if you will. Hold on, I'm trying.
Yeah, he's like, hey, we need more space. You two want to go? I'm like, sure. But yeah, there were times where I thought it was very therapeutic, but then I didn't like the realism part of painting sometimes, because I felt like I was over analyzing details, and then I'm getting mad whenever I couldn't execute those details.
Yeah. I mean, I
But
don't know how well you're gonna be able to see that. Yeah, you kind of get the gist of it. Well, you
you
can't really.
pay, so those are those t-shirts?
Those are all. Yeah, those are jerseys, and they've got like I specifically picked out like some of the. Yeah, it's not gonna focus on it, but I'll send you the picture later.
Yeah, send me the
It's
picture.
it's got like it's got names of like specific players that we both have liked in the history of the club.
Who is your favorite of all time? Do you have a
Uh,
favorite?
Columbus Crew or like generally?
Columbus Crew. Do you
Mm,
like Will Trapp at all? I loved him.
Oh, I loved Will Tripp. Yeah, he's in. Yeah, no, I've been following him. He went to into Miami for a year, and then
And then
now
he's somewhere else now,
he's
right?
at Minnesota now. Yeah, they let
Yeah.
him go, and then he went to Minnesota, which I don't.
Why didn't
Yeah,
they want him in Miami? He wasn't.
it just well, Miami was just a whole mess this year. There was a whole lot of issues with that, which actually they're under investigation because they signed like a pretty big name player named Blaise Matuidi. He won the World Cup with France
Blaze.
actually in 2018. He was the starter, and they brought him in for like suspiciously cheap. Now MLS has all these like super tight regulations on like in the rest of the world. You want a player, you offer the club X amount of money. They say yes. You negotiate a contract, you get the player. In MLS, it's like a whole complicated system of like general allocation money versus targeted allocation. I mean, and you got like there's all these stipulations. Basically, they signed this world-class player for suspiciously cheap, and now they were just paying him a bunch of money under the table to get around different regulations.
All the different types of
Allegedly. Yeah, I gotta say that.
man.
So
So
David
David
Beckham doesn't
Beckham,
sue
that's
me.
David Beckham's team, right?
And they just actually that was a bit of a so what I want to a bit of a uproar. I get it because he they just poached the coach from the women's English team.
Oh, I didn't
3
know that.
Lions. Yes, Gary. Oh crap, is it Gary or Phil? One of those two. I think it was Phil Neville. He was the women's coach, and he just came and poached him. And the English FA was not like super duper happy about that.
Oh.
So, because it's assumed because they used to play together, it was assumed that they kind of like schemed this together off the books, and they didn't really give them a heads up. They were just kind of like, "Hey," and I'm gone. So that was a bit of a drama because he was the which England's women's team is one of the better in the world. I don't
I'm getting impressed with them. I follow women's just because, well, obviously I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I don't even know what league it's called. It's like like Man City has a women's team too. They like
I believe it's
that
called
league.
The Women's Super League.
The Women's Super League, that league is starting to pick up a lot of good players. And a lot of our American girls are actually going over and playing.
I've been seeing a lot of that, but I was wondering if that was more because of the stoppage of the NWSL, because I know the NWSL is having stoppage right now.
That's what I was wondering too, but at the same time, I think it's because that league over there is picking up a lot of players that are like world renowned. But at the same time, I thought the National Women's League was that at first because they had Marta, and I don't know if you know her. She's from Brazil. No, she's Marta, like a legend. Yeah, she's a legend. And so the Women's League in the United States, I thought, I don't know. I feel like it's all perspective. Sorry, on what is going on with that. I don't know.
Well, I know that gosh, I don't remember all of there was like a group of 5 prominent women's national team players. I believe it was Mewis and Rose Gold and Tobin Keith and
Alex
else.
Morgan went over there for a little bit.
Alex Morgan went to that's who I was going to end with was Alex Morgan went over there, but her deal was more like a loan, a short term, where she would then return to the United States. So that's why I'm wondering, since the NWSL is on, I don't know exactly what's going on with those stock. Obviously coronavirus.
That's a good point. I didn't realize she was on short term. I thought they just let her go. I didn't realize it was just like a short contract, I guess.
And see, I don't have the exact details in front of me. I know our inquisitive listeners will look it up on Google and whatnot. But um, well. I mean, it would make sense to me if if I'm one of the higher level players in the world, and my home league is not operational. It would make sense for me to want to go find
Oh
some
yeah, to keep
competition.
playing.
But
Well,
then
and then
I would think the desire would be once. Oh, my flag fell down in the background. I would think the
well,
desire would be that once the if and when the NWSL gets up back and running, they would return because I mean, I guess I can't speak for everyone. I think the average professional would prefer to play in their home country,
oh
if
yeah, I
possible.
mean, well, and then to go off what you were saying with Alex Morgan going to overseas, I think it worked out in her favor because she recently had a baby. And
Yes.
so then she was able to build up her skills again. And I think that helped her get back on the US roster, like the National League roster, because she wasn't on there for a hot second because obviously she had a baby, wasn't up to par fitness levels and skill levels. And she actually, I mean, she's not how she used to be. She's not up to that standard yet, but she did score a goal. So, I mean, she's
Yeah.
there. It's just not, it just takes a little bit, I guess.
Well, I remember, and this was years ago. Landon Donovan, he did a quick because the MLS schedule doesn't line up with the European schedule for reasons. Um, so he took a loan deal out over to Everton to play like while the MLS was off, just to keep himself sharp. And I'm
Okay.
not a huge Landon Donovan fan, but I think that's an example of a similar type thing. The for pandemic related reasons, their league is in a lull, so they're just trying to stay sharp. Which I believe, ha ha ha. They just had the She Believes Cup recently.
Yes, they did. They won it again.
I'm gonna hit you with a hot take and let me know how you feel about it. I
A
don't
hot
like the
take.
name. I don't like the name of that cup. It comes
I
off
don't
as
like it either.
almost
I don't like it either, and
insulting.
I'm a woman.
It comes off as like childish and
It is. Well, the thing, I liked it at the beginning, but I thought it was just going to be like a one cup thing. Because it was kind of cute that they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to inspire young girls to play.
yeah.
And I liked that. I was like, cool, just do that for
Mm-hmm.
a year. And then they just kept the name and like, oh, okay, this is a little much. Like, we get it. We get the point.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. It just to me, I don't think childish is the right word, but it just comes off as kind of, I don't know, like it's almost like not. I don't know. It feels like it's not taking itself as serious.
It's
Women
not
still,
I feel like it's not a serious cup because of the name. You're absolutely right. It is a
and it
childish
should
name.
be. Women's should be just as serious as men's, of course.
Oh yeah,
But like if there was the He Believes Cup, that would be like what? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It to me even almost kind of feels. I don't know. It kind of like makes it feel like women are like weaker. Like she has to believe in herself. What I
I
mean? Does that make
I'm glad
sense?
you're going down this path because I am I mean I don't call myself a feminist, but I would like to be as equal as a man. And that means I would like the same respect and view of how I am viewed. And I mean, it obviously a woman does not have the athletic ability a man does. That's just the reality, and
Agree.
it stinks in that sense. But I would like to be viewed as an athlete. I would like to be viewed as a woman in the science field. And but I
You
would
should be
like to
taken
be a
exactly
person in the
seriously.
science field. I would like to just be a person, like a individual. I don't like that they have to put a woman in the science field, I guess. I would like to be
That's a whole
just
nother, yeah. A lot of the new press secretary, I'm gonna butcher her last name, Jen Psaki, I think it's pronounced. There's like it's like a running
oh, I
meme
don't even know her.
basically. It's a running meme basically. Anytime any kind of criticism comes in about this thing or that, her first response is, "Well, I'd like to point out that we appointed a woman in this position. blah 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 blah, and they're like, okay. Like, I don't know if you heard about the whole GameStop stock issue thing.
Oh, definitely.
Well,
Oh,
they were asking questions about like the new Fed chair, Secretary of I don't remember exactly, but in her response was, well, first of all, I'd like to point out that she's the first woman to be appointed. And I'm like, that's not relevant to the, but it's just like, it's a meme because there's like a whole compilation of every single time someone brings up anything, she's like, well, I'd like to point out, first of all, okay,
that there's a woman here and you need to just.
Well, what
This
happens
dog.
when you have women who are making anti-women decisions? That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother Pandora's box.
If you start to talk that way, there will be people that will be upset with you, but I will not be upset with you. I think people would be upset with me.
I'm not equating the two. I'm just, I don't know. Yeah, I let's politics too much, but we kind of skimmed that area, so I thought I'd pop in there for a second.
Yeah.
But anyway, but just back to the name, I don't know. It like almost like trivializes, like, oh, isn't that cute? She believes she can play.
She believes
like,
she can do it.
It's not that she believes, she can.
Yeah, she can. Exactly.
Well, looky who that.
You want to make an appearance?
What's up? Guess what's happening?
Well, for those who are listening and not watching, maybe Maddie, you want to help us out here?
This is Tyler. This is my boyfriend. Say hi to the world.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, I just want to be really jealous right now that he is on your podcast and he said he'll never be on my podcast. So this is I'm hoping that like if I hit 10 episodes, we'll have like a 10 episode special where like Tyler can be on it and it can be like a big thing. But he hasn't liked the idea of being on my podcast.
We should just YouTube live power hours every weekend.
Absolutely.
Well, no, we would get immediately copyright striked for anything we would try to do. Any power hour we would try to do would just get us copyright destroyed. My favorite, the best power hour, undeniable, I know you already know what I'm going to say, is the Disney Power Hour.
Yes!
Followed closely by the 90s Power Hour with the dancing Snoop.
Yes, that's the exact one that I do. I do the where they go Snoop. Yeah. And then what's the one? Have you done the Vine Power Hour yet? Did you get into Vine at all?
I never got into Vine.
Oh, you might not like it then. They just play vines, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
This dog is being so bad. He humped me the whole time I've tried to record this. Yes.
Yeah, I think KK's just been hanging out in my roommate's room. I don't know. I'm honestly surprised. He's usually meowing.
And then I tried to lock him in the. Look at that. Just look at it. He's being extra quiet. He cuts his stuff too. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You wanna wrap up?
Sure, I'm fine with that. I'm sorry if this was like a complete mess. If we need to redo it or anything.
This is exactly what I'm looking for.
Gotcha. And then at the end, this is just a creative bubble I have. You can take a snippet of every time Waylon humped me and just put it in the blooper reel. The dog just ran outside. But yeah, so how do you wrap up your podcast? Do you have like an exit thing?
Not yet. I think this has been a really fun conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely gotta be having another episode soon. Where can people find your podcast, Maddie?
You can find it on anything but YouTube, in all honesty. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, I'm on there. I use Anchor, which is really nice, and it distributes everything for you. So in that sense, but you can find me at On the Talks is what my podcast is called again. It's just your daily dose of fun conversation over ice. It's a fun time.
That'll all be linked down in the description, so everyone make sure.
Oh, thank you.
And like I said, you should be able to watch this video and a couple other backlogged ones I have on April 2nd when DP2daBrain comes to a frontal cortex near you. Once again,
Yay!
Maddy, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Dog to discipline.
I do have a dog to discipline.
Oh, my KK knows about the spray bottle. He sees me grab that spray bottle.
Spray bottle.
Duck and cover.
Waylon goes in timeout, so he'll be in timeout for a long time. So thanks for dealing with him, and sorry to all your listeners that had to and watchers that had to deal with Waylon today.
Wonderful. All right.